You know that moment in a conversation, maybe it's a heated dinner table debate or a meeting spiraling into blame, where you feel the pressure to speak, to correct, to add your piece, and you consciously, deliberately choose not to. And in that choice, you don't feel weak or defeated, you feel more honest. Like by staying quiet, you've somehow stayed truer to yourself than any words could have made you. It's a paradox, isn't it? We're taught that honesty is about speaking your truth. So what does it mean when silence is the truth? If you've ever felt that, you're not alone. And it's not just you being quiet. There's a profound psychology at play here. Today, we're not talking about shyness or social anxiety. We're talking about the deliberate, often principled choice of silence as a form of integrity. We'll explore the minds of people for whom speaking feels like a compromise and silence feels like the purest form of honesty they can offer. By the end, you might just recognize a part of yourself or finally understand someone in your life. The introverted truth holder. Picture this. You're in a group. The topic is something you care deeply about, something you've read about, lived through. The chatter starts, opinions fly, confident, half-formed, loud. You feel the shape of your own understanding, complex and layered in your mind. To speak it would require unraveling a tapestry. You need context, nuance, caveats. The conversation is moving at the speed of sound bites, so you stay quiet. This isn't social fear. This is the psychology of precision. For some, language isn't just a tool, it's a sacred contract. To offer a simplified version of a complex truth feels to them like a lie. It feels dishonest. Their internal monologue might sound like, if I say I agree, they'll think I agree with all of it, and I don't. If I say I disagree, I'll have to defend a position I don't fully hold. Any words I pick will be a reduction of what I actually mean. So they opt for silence. In that silence, they preserve the integrity of their complete thought. They feel honest because they haven't betrayed the complexity of their truth for the sake of social participation. The quiet isn't empty, it's full. It's occupied by a truth too precise for the room. The irony, they're often misread as judgmental, aloof, or worse, complicit. But inside, they're safeguarding a kind of intellectual honesty that small talk and hot takes can't accommodate. The overwhelmed idealist. Now meet another type. This person has a very strong moral or emotional compass. They feel things intensely, the injustice in a news story, the subtle tension between friends, the hypocrisy in a corporate policy. And in the face of it, they are rendered silent. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they have too much to feel. For them, spoken words can feel cheap, inadequate, almost insulting to the magnitude of what they're processing. To say that's terrible about a tragedy feels grotesquely insufficient. To offer a platitude like everything happens for a reason feels like a betrayal of pain. Their honesty lies in their emotional authenticity, and to voice a cliché would be profoundly dishonest. Their silence is a form of respect. It's an acknowledgement that some things exist in a realm beyond language. They feel more honest staying quiet because any words would be a diminishment of the real reaction happening inside, the storm of empathy, sorrow, or outrage. They are being truthful to the scale of the emotion by not packaging it into a neat, socially acceptable verbal box. Their quiet says, "This matters too much for me to pretend my words can hold it." The trauma-informed protector. This one is more subtle and often born from experience. Imagine someone who learned early on that words are weapons. Maybe their words were used against them. Maybe they saw how promises were broken, how secrets were spilled, how speaking up led to harm for themselves or others. For this person, silence isn't just golden, it's safe. It's a vault. Their psychology is built on a core belief: to speak is to risk. To risk misunderstanding, betrayal, conflict, or exposing a vulnerability. So they practice radical discernment. They listen, they assess, they calculate trustworthiness, and until the environment feels utterly secure, their truth stays within them. In that guarded silence, they feel honest because they are not engaging in the performative, risky theater of disclosure. They are being honest about their own need for safety. To pressure them to just speak up feels to them like being asked to disarm in a war zone. Their quiet honesty is a statement.
I will not offer my inner world to a context that may not cherish it. It's a deep, often unconscious integrity to self-protection. The honesty is in the refusal to fake comfort or trust they do not feel. The observer in the machine. Finally, consider the person who uses silence as a diagnostic tool. They enter a system, a workplace, a family dynamic, a new friend group, and they go quiet. But they're not checked out. They're collecting data. They're watching how people treat each other when they think no one is truly paying attention. They're noting the contradictions between what's said and what's done. For this profile, speaking too soon would be intellectually dishonest. It would mean forming conclusions without evidence, aligning with a faction before understanding the landscape. Their silence is active, analytical, and strategic. They feel more honest being quiet because they are committing to the truth of what is, rather than projecting what they assume. When they do finally speak, it's often with devastating clarity and insight, because it's based on observed reality, not rushed participation. Their earlier silence was the honest labor of seeing clearly. To them, the people talking the most are often the most dishonest, because they're speaking from bias, assumption, or a desire to position themselves, not from observed truth. So, which one resonates? The introverted truth holder?
The thread that ties them all together is this. They all reject the assumption that honesty is merely verbal transparency. For them, honesty is an internal alignment. It's the congruence between what you feel, what you know, and what you choose to project into the world. And sometimes, often in fact, the most congruent, aligned, and truthful action is to say nothing at all. Their silence isn't a void, it's a statement. It says, my truth is present, but it is not performative. It is not for consumption. It is mine, and in this moment, its purest form is to remain with me. How does this land for you? Does this clarify a pattern in your own life or in someone you've struggled to understand? If you found a piece of your own story here, you're not alone. Drop a comment below, or, don't. Sometimes the most honest comment is the one you keep to yourself. If you want more of these explorations into the quiet corners of human behavior, consider subscribing. It's a place where we give words to the silences and understand the choices we make in between them. Thanks for listening.